Hey amigas, welcome back to another one of my videos. For those that don't know me, my name is Beverly, and for those that are returning, thank you guys so much for joining me today. As you guys could see by the title of my video, I am going to be trying out the new famous DTF Sublimation Hack. Yes, you heard that right. Today I'm going to be trying it on my channel. It's where you sublimate on 100% cotton without any material in between, such as printable vinyl or any glitter HTV in between. So I'm super excited to be trying it with you guys. Now, before we do continue and get on into this tutorial, I want to talk to you guys about the products that I'm going to be using. These are the Yamation products. This is the DTF powder, and I also have the DTF transfer film for you guys. If you guys are interested in trying out these products, you guys can find them down below in the link for their Amazon storefront, and as well as their official website where you guys can purchase these. Also, a little extra that they are giving out for a purchase that you guys do either in their Amazon store or through their website, you guys will also receive these free Christmas files where you guys can use to sublimate as well and use them before Christmas. So that's very exciting. So go ahead and check them out down below. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, amigas, so before we go ahead and get started into the actual tutorial on how to sublimate on 100% cotton without a spray, without an HTV or a printable HTV in between, we're going to kind of go over this hack real quick. So I seen this hack over on TikTok a couple months ago where it started to evolve. This girl, I'm not sure who exactly it is, but credits go out to her, where she pretty much kind of came up or resolved how to do it without actually having a DTF printer where it can be direct to film and then it's transferred over to your shirt. Now with this hack, keep in mind it is still only for light colored t-shirts and or white t-shirts only, because the film is still going to only show up on light colors in this case. But the benefit of it is that you don't actually have to use a polyester t-shirt, because for those that do regular traditional sublimation knows that when it goes on a t-shirt or a fabric, it has to be polyester, 65% I hear, or 65% or more polyester for the actual ink to stay in, bedded into the fabric, or also to be just more vibrant. The more polyester it has, usually the more vibrant your print is going to be. In this case, with the hack, this is a 100% cotton t-shirt. This is just the brand Gildan. This you can see is just a light blue. And I also have one over here to my right side. It's also Gildan. It's just a white standard cotton t-shirts, which a lot of the time whenever you are looking for your most inexpensive t-shirts, or you know, just any t-shirt really out there that you find, most of the time they're going to be cotton, or they'll be like a cotton poly blend, remember? So you do have to keep that in mind when it comes down to looking for fabrics or anything when you're doing the traditional sublimation method. Now with this hack, which is so freaking cool, you actually will just do your sublimation print on the DTF transfer film. So you're going to do it on this. You'll print on your ink with your sublimation printer on here, and then what happens is that you'll put over this DTF powder over top to coat it, and then this coating basically turns into an adhesive, so therefore it will stick to your shirt and actually transfer, so you'll have that in between. But the film, you'll just take it off kind of like if it was transfer tape, so it's only there temporarily to print on and to transfer it while you are pressing it on. Other than that, it's just direct to garment. It's really awesome hack, and I cannot wait to show you guys how it works. So now that I showed you guys a little bit about the procedure and what it really is and how it is a hack, just keep in mind that with this hack still there's no cutting. You don't need a cutting machine. You are able to do it on cotton, but you're still limited to the colors for now. So let's go ahead and get started with the materials that you'll need. Okay, amigas, so here is the DTF transfer film, and this is how a sheet looks like. It's a little bit longer than 8.5 by 11, but it's okay. The width is still 8.5, but the 11 is a little bit longer, like 11.5, which is fine. You do have a more sheer or glossy side, and then you do have a more mattifying side, which is what you're going to be printing on. And it also does say, whenever you look at the film, it does show you, and it says print side, so that's the side you're going to be wanting to print on. So that is this correct side as I pulled it out. Okay, so this is a DTF film. Let's go ahead and show you guys how I'm going to be sticking it with another piece of paper in the back, just so it actually does take it through the printer and prints correctly, because I've had issues in the past where it doesn't actually want to take the film on its own. If your printer does, then that's amazing. Mine didn't want to. I'm just going to flip it on its face down, and we are just going to add a little bit of double-sided tape here, and then stick another copy paper behind it. So I'm going to be using some crafter's tape right here, and I'm just going to be applying it to the back side, and I'm just going to be doing it lightly, just a little bit here, and then maybe on this edge, just so it really does take that copy paper and it sticks. So I'm just going to be lining it up as best as I can to that, because I don't want to be off. And we'll just stick it right there. And now when you lift up your paper, you're going to see that it does look a little bit wider. So I'm just going to trim off the edges. But this side is pretty much lined up. And here you have your film, and then behind you do have your white copy paper, so it's going to look like that. And then when you do place it to print, I'm just going to place it to print on our matte side, and it's just there to keep the back a little bit more sturdier and thicker. So let's go ahead and go over to the printer now. Okay, amigas, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the computer side of it on how I set up my design and everything ready for sublimation with my settings. So I'm going to share my screen here, and if you guys want to use any of the 120 Christmas designs from Yamation, make sure you guys go check out their products, and you guys will receive these free included within that. So I'm going to go over to Adobe Illustrator. That's where I actually love to print my sublimation prints from. I don't print from Silhouette Studio or Cricut, but you can. I'm not saying you cannot, but I feel like I get my color payoff and the vibrancy and everything best whenever I print from Adobe, Photoshop, or Illustrator. So I'm going to start and opening up a new file. Once I go to new file, I'm just going to do a letter size. You can also edit your type of size, width and length of paper here. And I also like to do CMYK color, and then high 300 ppi pixels per inch to get the better quality in my design. So then I will do create. It's going to open up my blank sheet. Here you guys can see is my 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I will do file and place, and I will just go to my 126 Christmas designs, and I will double click there, and you guys have quite a bit to choose from. So yes, I'm just going to go through them and see what I want to do today. So I definitely do want to go ahead and use my blue t-shirt. I think that's the one that we'll be sticking to today to show you guys this sublimation design, but I want something with lots of bright color in it so you guys can see how it looks and what the payoff is on the t-shirt. Okay, keep in mind anything that has white is actually not going to be white. It's going to show up the same exact color of your t-shirt. So sometimes whenever you are using this, it's better to use a white t-shirt, but I'm going to use something with lots of colors. So we hope it won't make a difference, but let's go ahead and let's see. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to choose. I might just end up going with one of these up here. They have a lot more vibrancy in them. So we'll see. This one says cold hands, warm hearts. Let's go ahead and do that one. So once I do that and I hit place, I'm just going to drag open my design, and definitely you can make it as big as you want, or you can measure out the size of your t-shirt. I think in this case, I'm not going to make it too big, but I do want it big enough. So I'm just going to see here my properties. Yep, there they are. My properties will come up, and that's where you're able to determine how big or how small you want to make the t-shirt, okay? Or the design on your t-shirt. So I think I'll probably stick to about height, nothing more than 8.5 inches height. So then the width will adjust usually. Let me go back. Okay, so let me make sure I have this up here, and then I'll do 8.5. And then now you can see the width is going to adjust accordingly. So whenever you do change the width, or if you do just change the height, then the other side will adjust accordingly. This looks too big for the width, so that's why I'm adjusting the height, and I'm doing 8.5 and letting the width be whatever it is. So I think this is a good enough size for my small adult t-shirts. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. You guys can tell there's no really much white in my picture. That's just the background of the paper, but you guys can see everything has full color. So I think this would be an awesome design to do on that light blue colored t-shirt, 100% cotton. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is take it over to print. So I'm going to go to File, and I am using my Windows computer. It's a Dell Inspiron, since I know some people have been asking about the computer. Once we do hit print, you need to make sure your document size is 8.5 by 11, which ours is. But I still want to make sure we're submitting the right printer. So I'm doing my sublimation printer. I'm going to go to Setup and Continue. Here's where you want to change your preferences in your sublimation prints. And this will make a huge difference. If you guys have not messed with this, you guys should definitely do so. I'm using my 8.5 by 11 paper. We're going to say I am using premium presentation paper mat, since that's what's always worked for me. I'm going to do high quality. I'm going to go to more options, custom, advanced, color controls, Adobe RGB to get the most color payoff. I'm going to mirror my image here, and I'm going to turn off the high speed. So once we do these settings, I will just hit OK. Print. So now we will go over to the printer to show you guys how I am going to get this printed so you guys can see the process. Okay, so this is our printer. We're using the EPSON EcoTank 2720. This printer is converted over to sublimation, and I'm using Cosmos sublimation ink in here. So I'm just going to make sure that this back here, the little blue tabs, are open up all the way, and I'm just simply going to place my paper with the transparency film on it and that paper on the back. I'm going to place it in the back like so, and I do want to close up those little windows here in the back, or those little tabs I should say, just to make sure it's fitting the size of my paper, so that way it doesn't move on me in the process. And I'm going to hit OK, continue printing, and now it should start to take our paper in. And these were the results of that. Look how nice and vibrant that looks. Oh my gosh. So you definitely don't want to put your hands or touch any of this. I'm going to be very slow at removing the backing. I did have to add a little bit more adhesive just so it can stay, but this is no issue because this is the back. So I'm just going to be slightly removing this over without touching the actual initial part, and let me do that now. This is how it looks like. This is the side that it printed on. You can see I have a whole bunch of white on this side because here is where I actually stuck with a little bit of the double-sided tape. I went a little bit crazy and I added some of that so the paper can stick because it wasn't working with my first initial try. So I just went ahead and added more. This is the side that will be just flipped over so we can press it on. So it is okay. The film we don't really need, so just disregard that. But this is the actual side that it printed on. You don't want to actually touch it. Now we're going to go into the next step and we're just going to coat it with some DTF powder. So let's go ahead and do that now. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my design here on this piece of butcher paper just so we don't have powder going everywhere. And what I'm going to do next is grab my DTF transfer adhesive powder, and we are just going to sprinkle over our whole image like so. Just coat everything just to make sure everything is covered. And I'm just going in a little heavy, but of course you can save this powder and put in all that remainder back into your bag, so it should be fine. Once I do that, I'm just going to go ahead and pick up this and just make sure it's coated evenly all around and just kind of take it back and forth, side to side, making sure the whole design is covered by this DTF powder. And you want to make sure you really get all that excess off just so you don't have all that extra powder all over your design. And this is how that front looks like. Disregard again that paper on the sides. I know it looks a little ugly, but just know that that's not on the main side where it's printed on, and it also will not stick to the shirt. So this is what we have so far to work with. Now let's go ahead and preheat our heat press for about 385 for about 55 seconds. And what we'll do now is we'll set this underneath the heat press for about 50 seconds just so it can cook on this side, and it's pretty much going to melt that powder into the actual design. And then once that's done, we'll be able to go ahead and press on our t-shirt. So let's go ahead and take it over to that station. Okay, amigas, so now that it's done, I'm gonna go ahead and open up my heat press and just put my Teflon sheet just here, just in case, to protect my heat press. And I am gonna go ahead and put my DTF print facing up where that powder is at, and just place it over and cure it over for about 50 seconds. I'm not going to actually close the heat press. I'm just going to kind of slightly do it so the timer can start for 50 seconds. It's 385 for 50 seconds preheat. And you don't want to close it. You just want to get it as close as you can. So all that heat will cure that powder onto your transfer. That way here in a minute, we can actually go ahead and press it onto our shirt. Once it is done now, I'm going to go ahead and lift it up. Just keep in mind that with this, you do want to be in a well ventilated area, because I know a lot of the times people really don't take that into consideration, but it's very important because these are still chemicals that are going up. So I'm just going to slightly go ahead and pull it out. You can see how in some parts it did cure it completely, and then others it feels like it still needs to be a little bit more cured. So I'm just going to kind of slightly turn it sideways and do that same process over, and just do it for a couple more seconds. And we're just going to lift up, and now it seems that it's fully cured, and you guys can see how much more vibrant that design got. So now that it's all ready, let's go ahead and place it on our cotton t-shirt and let's press. Same temperature, 385, and I'm going to do about 55 to 60 seconds just to see what's better, and it is going to be a cold peel. Okay, so I have already prepped the shirt, and by prepped I mean I have already went ahead and just took off all of that lint off of it. So now that we have it, I'm going to just do 3 fingers down, which is going to start something like right there. And I'm just going to push it back a little bit further. I can see my middle point here, so I'm just going to go ahead and place my image. And I did go ahead and just trim around the image just so you guys wouldn't see all that excess paper. And you guys can see here is a design. Now, if you guys really want to see like the difference between this DTF Sublimation Hack and a real DTF transfer, I can kind of show you guys now here before we actually press. A real DTF transfer looks almost similar, so this is it. And you guys can see here on the back there is that white powder, but there is also a white coating on the back, so therefore you can press it on any color t-shirt and not just be limited to the light colors, as opposed to this one you don't have any white, so it's just more of a transparency on the colors. And this one you can kind of clearly see that here, so you guys can see that a real DTF printer does print white and will allow you to press that at. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and center it here and place it down. And once we do, I am going to go ahead and use a Teflon sheet just so we can kind of cover it over. And we are going to press this a little bit higher. I'm going to do about 55 seconds for 385. So let's go ahead and do that with firm pressure. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and lift up. I'm going to be very careful, and I'm going to remove this sheet over. And you guys could honestly see there where I added that double-sided tape. That's on this side, so it should not affect it. We do want to wait for this to fully cool down before we actually go in there and remove anything. I know for some people, they have said that the hot peel has worked for them. For others, they're like, no, let's go ahead and keep it to a cold peel. But I just wanted to bring you guys in closer so you guys can see how it looks. And if you guys are curious to see how it's going to look, as a hot peel there, you guys can see a little bit of the difference. It will leave some of the residue, but I want to just wait and make sure until it's cooled down completely before we go ahead and peel this off. So let's go ahead and give it a couple minutes.
3 hours later.
All right, amigas, so this has fully cooled down now. So let's go ahead and just start to lift up. You guys can see how it still looks super vibrant, but you guys can see that the film still has some color on it, but that's completely normal. That's what I have seen in other videos. But look at how nice and how direct to the actual t-shirt it is. Super vibrant as well because of the light blue. And these are the ending results. So let me go ahead and show you guys the full shirt here in a minute. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the results on this DTF sublimation hack and what my final thoughts are. So my final thoughts are that this is such an amazing hack because I really do like how vibrant it is on our cotton t-shirt, which I'll show you guys the final results fully here in a minute. But I really did like how easy it was. It wasn't like super difficult or anything. Yes, it is an additional couple steps that you have to do here or there, like adding the powder. And you know, sometimes if your film doesn't want to feed through your printer, adding that extra sheet of paper just for support. But other than that, I do feel like this DTF sublimation hack is very handy, specifically for those that don't want to go out and buy a printable vinyl or a spray or risk it of the vinyl coming off maybe in the future, or maybe the spray being super stiff or not long lasting. I really do think it is worth it to have it on hand. I feel like the powder as well as the film is going to last you quite a bit. So I do think it is completely worth it. So quick shout out for Yamation again for being the sponsor of this video. I really do appreciate you guys sending that over, and I do feel like ultimately the final results were amazing. This is a shirt right here, you guys can see. This again is on a baby blue shirt, and for it to be on a light colored t-shirt, I feel like the colors just pop a lot. Now another thing that I did notice as well, other than the colors being super vibrant, I also want to say, keep in mind, I did not use anything with a whole bunch of white in it. I think if anything, it's just like the hat area, but I tried to avoid the white at all costs for my image because I was not going to be using a white t-shirt, and I knew sometimes that color can come off as a little bit different, so I strictly wanted to avoid that. The colors are awesome. The feel is like nothing's there. It literally feels like a direct to garment feel. It just feels a little bit softer because of the actual initial print. But I am very curious to see how this DTF sublimation hack holds up in the wash. As I do some more testing, I will keep you guys updated on that. But here is the final results of it. Do I like it? Yes, I do. Do I think it's worth it? Yes, I also do think so, because you're not, again, having to spend any extra money on those other materials that could be a hit or a miss, or for you to do a lot more steps. Now, I do have a video up and I will link it somewhere here or here, I'm not sure. But you guys will see how I actually do use the Easy Subli and another generic brand of sublimation adhesive vinyl, where you guys are going to be able to do the same thing for cotton t-shirts, but just using a material in between. Now this is a lot much natural and more comparable to the traditional sublimation method, so this is why I think 10 out of 10 I recommend. Thank you guys all so much for being here. Do not forget to go ahead and check out their products down in the description down below, as well as give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on your post notification bell so that way you're notified every time I upload a new video. And I will catch you guys next time, amigas. Bye.